Hello and welcome back to Man Cave Hobbies. So it used to be formerly Dumb Thumbs FPV. Why the name change? Well, because this year's been COVID, as we all know, and the parks have been closed, and then they haven't been closed, and then there's a mask mandate, and there's not a mask mandate. It's been a tough year, as we all know, and FPV products are kind of slow coming. And there's not too many big innovative changes. It's kind of like they're just kind of remaking the same things over and over again. That does not mean that I'm not still into FPV drones and I still won't feature that here on the channel. In fact, there's some exciting products that are going to come out, I'm hoping here this next month, that I'll share with you. But I wanted to change the channel's name to incorporate everything that I do. So I'm into live steam locomotives, I'm into my Steamship, I'm into RV camping, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to kind of incorporate all of that into this channel. So for those of you who have subscribed to this channel and kind of confused, what is this Man Cave Hobbies? Well, that's formerly Dumb Thumbs FPV. So today's video is this right here. This is the Accucraft K27 live steam. This is an amazing locomotive. And I want to share with you some of the modifications that I've done. I want to show it out on the layout. Now the layout's only about a third done. I got 2/3 to go next year. So it's only roughly around 132 feet loop right now, but elevated loop. But next year, I hope to put in approximately another 400 feet. So anyway, that's this video, and I hope you enjoy it. All right, here's the front of the, as you can see, it's very detailed. It also came with a snowplow that's currently not attached. Here's the side of it. Now this thing is 42 inches long, weighs roughly around 50 pounds, all wet, meaning it's got water in the boiler, water in the tender. It's about 7 inches wide and about 7 inches tall, somewhere in that area. This is the sheep car that I hide the propane tank in. And as you can see here, I'm showing off the chuffer pipe, which makes the chuffing noise a little louder. This here is the safety valve that is adjustable, and it's right now adjusted to 65 PSI. And here in the cab is a lot of extra equipment here. So you have the gas attenuator, you have the FR Sky receiver, the displacement lubricator. That's the probe for the automatic water boiler system. And those are the servos to run the whistle, the throttle, and the Johnson bar. And that's the pressure gauge right there. So here in the tender coming up, I'm going to show you the box. Now the box contains the two boards that make up the the water pump system, and it works off resistance. This is the 12-volt water pump, good for 80 PSI, and that's where the lipos go. This here is the manhole cover. So you fill the tender up just like you do the prototype, the real locomotive, off the water tank I have on the layout. This here are surgical connectors. They're good for 200 PSI. That connects the gas to underneath the tender to the locomotive itself, to the burners of the locomotive. This here is the regulator. And that is the propane tank. Now the regulator is good to, what it does is it takes the pressure of the propane down to 20 to 25 PSI. And it's standard off the shelf. You can buy them on Amazon. The propane tank also is surrounded by foam to kind of hold it in there so it doesn't roll back and forth and cause problems on the layout. This here's the steam engine I came up with for my ship. And here it is in the hall. I'm going to show the whistles and what they sound like. These are the same kind of whistles that are on the locomotive. This here is the water probe system. So this is the one I made for the boat, but it's really the same design I used for the locomotive. Basically, it's a probe I drilled through the cap of the boiler, put a brass solid piece through, plus a piece of Teflon to isolate the cap and the probe itself. The two boards, they're really, really simple in design. One is basically works off resistance, and it's a normally open contact relay, and it just runs a timer board. So it's pretty simple design, and it works really good, and it's adjustable. So I'm really kind of, I mean, it's worked 8 years in my boat, so I thought, you know, why not? So I'm showing the boat right now. This is the other hobby I'm into, and just kind of showing it off here a little bit to show you that this isn't my first rodeo. I mean, this little boat right here took 4,000 hours to build. It's got a 4-cylinder steam engine. It's got a condenser tank. It has built-in GPS. It has a reserve tank with the automatic pump system. It has an attenuator that I actually designed on this particular one. It has full lighting that flicker, so they're not like solid lights. They actually are designed to flicker differently, to look like oil lights. Very proud of this boat. And this is kind of gave me the ideas that I had to incorporate these ideas into this locomotive to make this locomotive pretty much maintenance free. You just pull it in every 45 minutes and fill up the displacement lubricator. And that's it. I mean, there's not a lot of fuss. You know, I know that live steam locomotives get a bad reputation because, you know, Astor's old locomotives, you really had to pay attention to them and stuff. They didn't have RC on them, and they actually worked off of alcohol. So these ones here by Accucraft are much, much better because they normally work off of butane. This particular one I modified for propane. And the longest run I've done is 3.5 hours. So you can see the detail here on the boat. I'm just kind of showing it off here. Once again, that's what this channel is about now, is to show off all my hobbies. I like, you know, the boat has a closed hull, so I had no choice but to make everything automatic. I couldn't just pull it into the shore and adjust the throttle. I couldn't pull it in the shore and adjust the gas. I couldn't pull it into the shore and fill a boiler full of water. Everything had to be automatic. So that's what I did here, and that's what I've done on this locomotive. Out here I'm going to be showing here pretty soon on how it runs on board. So that's kind of a neat little video, kind of just showing the detail here even more. You know, another thing too, this thing has automatic bilge pumps in it. Well, and I also have a special piece of electronics that I came up with, because the reserve tank actually has a sight glass. And so I came up with an infrared sensor on the sight glass itself for the reserve tank. So when the reserve tank runs out, there's actually an LED up on the top of the mast that's kind of hidden, but you can see it from the shoreline to let you know your reserve tank is empty. So just a lot of engineering. So here it is running on the pond. So here we are on the layout. The layout's under construction. The screen right there is supposed to be covered in chonkinite, and I just haven't gotten it done yet. So here's the displacement lubricator I'm showing here. That has to be filled, like I said, every 45 minutes. And I can do it under steam. I don't have to shut down the burners because I do have a gas attenuator. And what a gas attenuator does is it takes the pressure from the boiler, and it is adjustable. So it takes the pressure from the boiler and closes the needle so that the burners close down to a pilot light. And then as the pressure goes lower, it opens the needle back up to allow more burning. Here's the sheep car with the regulator in it. Just kind of showing it off here. I'm sorry having to do a voiceover. It was a very windy day and the audio didn't turn out. So this is my water tank. It actually holds water. You can get these on eBay. It does need some work. It does definitely need some weathering and some detail on that. But it works really well. And this is how I fill up the tender. And then here is the LGB bridge. So what I did is I took an LGB bridge, I built scaffolding underneath of it so it can open and close, and I put the hinges up higher so that when you lift the bridge up, it pulls away from the track, and then when you lower it down, it pulls back into the track. You'll see that here in a second. I'm just showing the screw holes and all the work that I have to do still. And you know, the fender washers that you're seeing on the track, those are actually removed now. I just was setting this up to see how it looked and see how everything fit. And you can see there's a little hole there for a pin, so it lines right back up. And that's it. So it makes for a nice way to get in and out of the layout. And it's plenty wide too. It's about 52 inches wide. You can see here it pulls away from the track, pulls away and then back into it. So I haven't had any derailments whatsoever. I probably have about 14 hours running around this track with that bridge. That's the chonkanite I'm using. And so all the brown rock you're seeing right there is actually now covered in chonkanite. Chonkanite is kind of a weird ore. It's Burlington Northern uses it. They actually use it on the track, on the full-scale track. So I'm going to take my Osmo Pocket, I'm going to put it on the top of the locomotive, and I'm going to give you a tour. All right, here we are, and we're going to water it up. The tender holds about a quart of water, so it takes a little while to fill up, but I can do it under steam because of the gas attenuator. The gas attenuator, once it reaches 65 psi, it just shuts down the burners to a pilot light. So, and that's pretty much the end of the video, guys. Like I said, I really do enjoy this, and I'm glad I'm getting back into it. I used to be back into it today. In fact, I used to be a president of a club in Phoenix. All right, guys, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe, and I'll start coming up with more content for the channel here real soon. Sorry about the lack of content this year, but as you know, with COVID-19, the whole world's kind of upside down, but hopefully we're getting over that and we're moving on. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed and have a great evening.